A call back here on BTN Live. As promised, we head out to West Lafayette right now to talk everything Boilermaker athletics by bringing in their athletics director. He is Morgan Burke. Morgan, we'll hit on a bunch of things, but let's start off on the gridiron. What's your take on the status of the football program right now?
Well, you always like to win more, and I think we have got a number of things underway that will serve us well in the future. But, you know, when you're sitting here 2-7, nobody's very pleased with the outcome. But if you know what you're trying to do and trying to build a plan, you got to stick with the plan.
How would you assess the performance of Daryl Hazel thus far?
You know, when we hired him in 2013, we recognized this was not going to be an easy undertaking. That's why we gave him a 6-year agreement, because we wanted to provide sufficient time in order to put this program in good stead. And you know, from a one-loss perspective, nobody is happy right now. We're disappointed. But despite the losses and the inconsistent play, progress is being made. There's only 4 kids on each side of the roster, and the 2 deep on offense and on defense, that are seniors. And when you have young players, you tend to get varied performances. And you got to work through that. That's Daryl's responsibility, the coach's responsibility, so that you don't have those high highs and low lows. But at the end of the day, as the younger players experience that adversity, they learn how to deal with it, and they'll come through it. I always have to remind myself, Mike, that Daryl's had 2 full recruiting classes. And so a fraction of the kids that he's recruited have seen the field. Guys like Jawan Bennetley and Danny Easy-Chukwu, Markel Jones, Dexter Knox, Jalen Robinson, to name just a few. And, you know, there's probably another 20 plus that are either freshmen or redshirt freshmen. So we expect down the road for them to contribute into the future. And, you know, I think that variability will get less. And when the variability gets less, the team that played Nebraska will be the one that you'll see each and every Saturday.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. When I listen to our analysts talk about Purdue, other networks, the phrase is they're improving. We're seeing them make progress, but like you said, the wins just aren't there yet. What do you think needs to change in the future so improvement turns into wins?
Well, you got to do, there's 6 or 7 factors that have got to go into this. You got to make sure you have the right staff. You got to recruit effectively and efficiently. You got to make sure you have the right technology, as the kids spend more time in a classroom today than they do on the practice field. You got to make sure your sports performance staff is second to none. And you got to make sure you got quality academic support. On top of that, you need to make sure that you've got the facilities that allow you to develop your roster and to recruit, and at the same time make sure that your venue, most of us in the Big Ten have venues that were built back in the 1920s. They're approaching 100 years of age. We're going to have to find ways to adapt them to the generations that are to follow. But we made a really significant announcement on October 21st. The President, Mitch Daniels, and the Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mike Berghoff, joined me in announcing that we would support a recommendation to the Board of Trustees in our December meeting that would move forward with the $60 million performance complex. This 110,000 square foot facility will allow us to take care of 3 deficiencies in our training for performance complex. Number one, it'll allow us to get a weight room that bring all of our kids together at one time rather than having to stagger them. 2, it will bring a state-of-the-art instructional space so that we can do the kinds of instruction that will enhance the performance on the field. And thirdly, we're going to renovate locker, sports medicine, and equipment space. You know, we think that Daryl Hazel is the right guy to lead the program. I know social media and others have tried to, you know, determine whether Daryl is going to be here in 2016, and we're not in this for the short term. We want to build a plan. This is something that the President, again, the Chairman of the Board, joined me in our support for Daryl. We've still got work to do, but we can see some things down the pipeline, just as your analysts can see, that'll allow Purdue football to return to a very successful level. We're not a very patient world. I'm not very patient myself, but at the end of the day, if you're building the right thing, you got to stick with the plan. And that doesn't. Having said that, that does not mean that we won't sit down, as we do every year, at the end of the year and take a good hard look at all of the facets of the program to determine you know, what we can do to improve the program, and we'll do that. But if there's any confusion about who the guy is who's going to lead the Boilermakers onto the field in 2016, let's dispel that.
All right, now that that's cleared up, let me squeeze in one topic on the hardwood for you. Folks may not quite realize it, but basketball season is here. The Boilermakers have high expectations. Tell me what you and Matt Painter have talked about this year's team.
Well, you have a combination of size that is almost atypical in this country. You've got very, very large active post players, and then you've got a variety of skilled perimeter players. So, we would expect at some point in time we'll see a lot of zones, and we think that we can have people that will pay if they elect to go in that direction. Conversely, if they go man to man, you get some of those big guys and they post down the block. They're pretty unstoppable. So, this is a team that started getting a pretty good rhythm towards the end of the Big Ten season last year. They've got a great returning cast, and when you add the Big Ten or the Player of the Year in the state of Indiana, Mr. Indiana, and Caleb Swanigan. You add the runner-up to Mr. Basketball in the state of Indiana, Ryan Klein. Grant Weatherford has also joined that cast. You've added to the strength, and we are looking forward to getting underway. We had an exhibition game last weekend, and the place was nearly full. It was as loud as an early season Big Ten game, and I think we had 32 or 33 assists on 33 baskets, some crazy statistic like that. They share the basketball. I think they'll be fun. I think when people come into Mackey Arena, they're going to have to suit up and play hard, because we will.
He's the AD at Purdue, Morgan Burke. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, Mike. Have a good day.